Morning, everyone. By Twitter demand and 2 votes on my poll, I am returning to Offworld Trading Company. Um, Things to note. One is Offworld Trading Company does not really support running or saving more than one campaign at a time. So when I went to play a private game, I blew away the game that we had or that I had going for the Twitch stream. So this morning I actually played a game to try to catch up, and unfortunately, since the scenarios for campaigns are generated somewhat randomly, we do not have the same starting conditions. I'm happy to report that I actually did quite a bit better than the game that I showed you last time. So we're starting off in a situation where we have a few more resources to start the second week or session or game in the 4-game campaign that I started with the same CEO. So there's that. What else? The caveat is I have seen some instability on Offworld Trading Company, even on Windows. It seems to be better if I restart the game frequently, and unlike in macOS where the failure completely blew the operating system away to reboot, in Windows it seems to just freeze and eventually dump out to Steam or the desktop. So it's not as bad and it's more easily recovered from. So there's that. Also, I do have hair from cancer recuperation, but I've been wearing hats a lot because I tend to get a little cold. Though this one looks Eastery, there are no signs of eggs, just rabbits and carrots. So I deem this hat a spring hat and not a late Easter hat. So I think I'm safe there. I also just want to see what's going on here with the broadcast and make sure it's working. So I'm just testing. Yep, it certainly is working. Excellent. Oh, also, after turning off Windows enhancements for the microphone, I once again decided to try to use the lapel microphone, which is what I'm wearing right now. It sounds like it's doing okay. I'll evaluate the total video and make sure that things are not dropping out and so on after the show. But it seems like things are okay. So, let me know, leave a comment, drop me a message on Twitter, whatever strikes your fancy, if you notice anything in particular. But I did turn off all the enhancements. So I'm hoping that things will settle down and I won't experience too many microphone cutouts like I had been before. I did some test recording, so I'm reasonably confident that it'll be okay. But let me know if you hear anything weird like echoes or other audio artifacts or too much dropping out or whatever. If you notice any correlations, I'm happy to hear them. I'm running in windowed mode, so I should be able to see comments if anyone wants to join me on the stream. I'm happy to say hi and talk about stuff. I think that's it. So let's go. I can't actually remember. I was thinking when I set up the campaign to try to catch up to where we had been before, I can't remember what difficulty level I set. It might be a little higher difficulty than I did last time, but we'll see how it goes. I'm happy to fail in front of you. That doesn't bother me. Okay, so see, I did much better like that. I think last time I was more like half, but now I'm way over here. I'm like over 75%, which gives you a better weekly income going forward. So I think it was like around 250K last time, and now it's 343K, which is easier. And the bonus is, I believe, a free steel mill. Anyway, new expansion opportunities. I'm going to choose water engine, and if I remember correctly, with water engine, if your if the price of water is lower than the price of energy, then or the price of fuel, I think, then transports and rockets, which are not really going to be available until maybe week 3 or 4, depending on how things go. It's one of these. It's this one here. But anyway, the fuel costs are taken from your water supplies rather than your fuel supplies if that happens. So I'm going to choose that. Energy Vault gives you, I think, a buffer of 100 units of energy, which can help deal with things like transient spikes in energy costs and other things. So I think primarily that, though. So I'm going to choose water engine. Um, Neither of these choices give me an adjacency bonus. If I click and drag, you can see that the last place is over here, so it's nowhere near. So now it's sort of down to the kind of resources and terrain and the bonuses. So the bonus, the reward for Arcadia Planitia is a free metal mine for 2 weeks, and the bonus for Elysium Planitia is a free water pump for 2 weeks. I sort of consider those equivalent, so I'm going to look more closely at the location info. So Arcadia is rare resources and plains. Elysium is medium resources and plains. They both have bribe a claim, which I think I told you I prefer in a previous episode. Now it's down to like who are my opponents, and it's Frank Dawson and Maisie Song on Arcadia, and in Elysium it's Sam Marino, Mikhail Nekrasov, and Joe G5. And really, the only major concern here, I think, in who the opponents are, as far as the game dynamics go, is that if you have more robots or all robots in the colony, aside from whatever you're playing, like for instance, I'm playing the other robot, not Joe G5, but the other one, and I can't remember exactly who that is, but we'll see in the next screen or the screen after that. If everyone's a robot, then nobody's going to want food or oxygen. But given that there are a number of humans involved in both, it should be fine with respect to market distortion. I think I'm going to go with Elysium because it's got medium resources rather than rare resources. Although you can certainly exploit a situation with rare resources, I'm going to hope that the medium resources means a better income for me. Okay, so then hire staff. So this is where savings from the first game and my high stake in the last colony have given me this much cash to work with, 669K with respect to hiring staff. And again, there's what you factor in is hiring for the rest of the campaign versus hiring for 1 week. And keep in mind what game you are in the campaign. So this is the second game of 4 weeks. in um, in a 4 week campaign. So if I hire if I can contract for 1 week for 100K, then hiring for the rest of the game at 300K is basically break even. It just means I do it and I don't have to forget about it. But in game three, if this were the case, hiring for 300K would not be to my advantage, right? So I need to make sure that I keep that in mind. Maybe not this game, but definitely next game. The thing I'm immediately drawn to is the patent lab scientist. I love the patents. I like to use them in addition to the optimization center. I think those are the two sort of most powerful, special, advanced building perks. I do sometimes like the hacker array, but uh, it's more about manipulating the market in temporary ways, whereas the optimization center and the patent lab are both for less temporary ways. Um, the other thing is that one of the powerful patents is thinking machines. And let me see if I click this. It actually says so thinking machines, um, a negative 50% sabotage damage for buildings 1 tile away from your HQ. Um, it reduces the time that your facilities suffer from uh, sabotage, which can be very helpful. The time is reflected in real game playing time seconds, like unpaused seconds, but it actually translates to hours in the game. So like it's usually the sabotage damage is usually something like 60 or 90 real time seconds, which actually is more like a significant chunk of one of the 7 days that you have to work with in this particular week in the round. So sometimes I will buy this patent for thinking machines through the patent lab. I think I'm definitely going to hire the patent lab. I think I'm actually going to hire it for all of the rest of the weeks because I can just afford it. The In contrast, the other thing I might want to consider is diversifying energy, but there's only wind turbines available, and I already have 2 wind turbine engineers. I could enhance the number of water engineers I have, the number of farming engineers. Uh, Condensers are good for fuel and oxygen, but there aren't any condenser engineers available. I think it's condenser, right? Or sorry, electrolysis reactor engineers. So I have one, and there's none to hire here, so it doesn't really matter. Condenser, I have one. I could get another condenser and make condensers more um, efficient, but I don't think I will. Um, there, the only thing in the factory buildings that I don't have is glass, and I don't see any glass engineers available. So I really think that for me and my play style, the patent lab scientist is the best call. So I'm going to do that. Okay. Um, and then I don't have anything like everything's at minimum 100K, I think. Let's see. Yeah. 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 I can't do anything else. So that's fine. So now I'm going to launch business, and it doesn't launch right away because I get a summary I'm working against. So this is me. Um, and if I knew this one's name, I don't have this one's name memorized, but if it were an AI, it would have a normal looking name. So I'm competing with Joji5, who's another robot, and then 2 humans. So humans require food, water, and oxygen. I require fuel and water for different purposes. Um, there will probably be significant competition for food between the two humans and something that I can essentially generate as just a commodity since I won't be using it in my own colony. And oxygen as well. Um, the thing about oxygen is that for electrolysis reactors, oxygen and fuel are created together. So my best source of fuel is an electrolysis reactor, which will generate oxygen as a byproduct. So it's just something to consider as far as market forces go. All right, so I'm going to play. It immediately tells me what kind of colony I have again. This is a research colony. So 25% reduced cost for patents and optimizations, which I didn't factor in, but is super helpful for me since I have one optimization center engineer and one patent center engineer. So I should really go hard on patents and optimizations in the probably middle to maybe the whole game, but maybe even starting in the early game, depending on where I'm situated with other resources and cash. Um, Offworld launchers, that's the rocket, cost 50% more to build, so it's good that I don't have that or need it. And chemicals are in greater demand, which means that I will probably want to emphasize developing chemical factories if I can scrape up all the resources I need. Oh, and then elemental quarries will be in reduced output. How interesting. Okay, so you start out auto paused when you have to scan. There's a whole bunch of resources near the colony. So I'm gonna start clicking, and it unpauses long enough to show me what I've clicked, and then pauses again. And a little bit of time passes each time I click. So other CEOs might decide to found their base based on what we already know. And you can see as I click, more stuff shows up, more information shows up on the left panel about where iron is, how many are high iron deposits versus low, the same for water. We haven't seen other elements except for a little bit of silicon. So it's good to know. And geothermal vents, which I can't exploit because I don't have that kind of engineer. But I do know that Mikhail does have one, and that is his only energy source. It's right here, right next to the colony. I mean, that's the only kind of engineer he has, although he might be able to purchase others. Oh, there's a lot of iron. All right, there's a little bit of aluminum. That's good. And all right, so Joji 5 already took advantage of what we know and placed their base, which is coming together. It's not quite functional yet. Ooh, that is a lot of iron. All right, and I think it's parts starting. So right about now, in as the time passes for clicking, Joji 5 can start building other stuff. But I'm controlling time because I'm the one who's doing the scanning. Okay, and then Mikhail also just did his base, which I don't see. So maybe I'm controlling time, but the other AIs are um, also scanning. Oh no, here it is. Yep, that's where he placed his. So that's coming together right in the middle of one of the big iron deposits. Okay, so that's silicon, iron, iron. Ooh, lots of iron. Oh my. So I'm looking for carbon over here. Um, there's only been a little bit, and I'm almost thinking that I'm going to exploit that, which is right here in this crater. I can't even, there's not even enough room in the crater to put a base, but I could put a base right next to the crater to make it easy. I'm probably going to stay out of this riverbed because it limits expansion, but I could potentially put a base like right around here so I'm close to the carbon and it's cheap in fuel to go get it. So I think maybe that's what I'll do. Not knowing the entire rest of the map. As soon as I place the base, I will know the entire rest of the map. And I'm going to zoom in because I want to be adjacent to the rich deposits of iron, just in case I want to go hard on iron and steel. But given the preponderance of iron on the map, it may not be worth it. The other thing that I could potentially do is try to get closer to the main colony and choose something close to the water deposits. But I think if it'll let me, I'm going to do it here. Yes. Okay. But now it's unpaused, and I need to press the spacebar to pause it if that's what I want. And I do. I want a little bit of thinking time. However, I am going to. Yeah, there's no difference here. But if I get all three, they'll reinforce each other. So I think I may just do that if I can afford it. It's a little iffy, but I want to sort of enforce my claim and exclusivity on that carbon. And I want to see, is it really exclusive? It's possible that I may have just gotten the carbon on lock. It looks like I may have, which is hilarious. Okay, and then the other thing that I want to emphasize in the early build is energy, primarily because I don't have any strong needs other than energy as a robot player. So I think here is a good one. They're all 1.2 and they will reinforce each other if I put more up here too. So I'll put that here. And then since I can still upgrade my HQ, I'm going to do that right now. Um, and it looks like I have enough to get the patent lab down, and I think I will. Like I said, I think I want to go hard on that patent lab as soon as possible. So I'm going to place it in a place where there's no iron deposit. And I could even afford to upgrade once more, but I think I'm actually going to spend these tile claims instead. And then the other thing I want to do is, while I'm in the very beginning of the game, I want to Control Shift click pay debt. And since I know I'm going to have carbon coming in, I'll Control Shift click the carbon, and the power is already set to auto sell, so that's good. The next thing I should probably do is think about electrolysis reactors. The thing to consider is you can see this sort of green versus red. What that means is, given the current market prices for stuff, I would be operating an electrolysis reactor at a loss. Like, it would cost me money to operate. So it's not necessarily the best choice now unless fuel gets more expensive or oxygen gets more expensive. So I need to keep that in mind as well. I think what I'm going to do actually is upgrade again, which is somewhat risky, but everything's somewhat risky, so it doesn't matter that much. So now I can't upgrade anymore, but I do have a level 3 HQ as opposed to everyone else that has a level 1, which gives me many more tiles to claim and use. But since I spent so much money, I can't afford, like, for instance, another wind turbine right away. It is only the first few unpaused seconds or hours in the game. So I may just let the time run a little bit since I've got so much stuff going on to see if I can accumulate some money uh, and do some more building. But let's just construct this metal mine right here. Yeah, that's the best I'm gonna get. And I think that adjacency bonuses will help me with better readings once I place this one. Um, and I can check that. Yeah, that's a little bit better with the 50% bonus. So escape gets me out of that. So what else? Water. Let's do water. Two, two, just fuel sauce. Yeah. And then I'm going to sit on the 7 tile claims while things develop and see what happens. And also, I want to see what are the patents that are available to me as I'm pausing just so that I can set auto sell on uh, iron and water. And I'm pausing. And you can see animations of all the things that are happening as they happen, like this patent is built, and oh, the iron mine's already online, and so on. Um, I am surprisingly in the green. So I'm going to pause again. I'm surprisingly in the green with fuel. I do need some fuel, but it still would be operating as at a loss, as you can see in the readout here, because it would be costing me power and water. Um, it would be costing me power and water to do so, and the running costs would be in the negative. It's not too bad. It looks like it's $5 per whatever time unit, as compared to $10 for the electronics factory. So I could do it if I wanted to sort of fire and forget. And then the other thing is, like, if I do it, let's see here. Yeah, if I do it next to this ex, uh, water mine, water pump, you can see I get a 50% bonus, which would help the cost proposition a bit. So that's another thing to consider. And let's look at the patents. So I can't afford anything yet, but I already have the superconductor, which means that things adjacent are not as costly as far as energy goes. And I have the water engine, which means that my ships are powered with water uh, because the water is cheaper than the fuel. It's close, but the water's cheaper than the fuel. I actually might want to build another water pump. Um, well, let's see. I can't really afford the turbine, but I'm kind of, uh, yeah, I can afford a water pump energy-wise. So let's see. That's interesting. There's no fuel or wait a minute. Um, for do that one. Okay. See what happens again. Let it run. I can afford a turbine, so I'm actually going to build one right next to the other one for the adjacency bonus. The other thing that's going on is I still haven't filled my glasses prescription, and it's making me contort my head and neck in weird ways, which is probably also affecting the microphone sound quality as well as making me look weird. So there's that too. I can afford the optimization center, so maybe I should place that down too. That'll give me a little bit more flexibility. So now I really want to look at the patents in earnest, but I don't have any money. So I'm going to wait. The money basically fixes the problems with lack of resources because I'm not very diversified in that regard. But there are some really good reasons. Uh, Dust storms are to my advantage since I'm only using wind turbines. You can see that they um, affect things that organics need, and they also affect solar panels, but I'm not invested in solar panels, so I'm not worried about it. All right, let me look at the patents. So here you can see that some of them are now available. Um, One that I particularly like is called slant drilling. Once you acquire a patent, nobody else in the round can acquire it. So it's kind of a monopoly thing as well as um, a bonuses thing. So drilling basically means if I put a water pump or an elemental mine next to a high resource tile, it will benefit from the high resources. And it won't be whatever the value is just underneath it. So I like that one a lot. Teleportation is nice, especially in combination with superconductor, um, because with teleportation, I don't believe there's a fuel cost to transporting goods. Um, Carbon scrubbing is nice. I would It's better. So with nanotechnology, you actually have to scrap buildings, which I hardly ever do. But at least it does give you some resources back when you do. Um, Carbon scrubbing is a passive thing in that, like for instance, if I build um, a chemical factory, it needs carbon. So instead of taking from my carbon flow or buying it, it would just get it from the CO2 in the air. So it's kind of helpful. Um, and the same, I think, with, yeah, electronics, not glass. So it's sort of limited, and then it's only really for chemical and electronics factories. But since those are usually the most lucrative factories, it might be worth it. Um, I don't need a geothermal borehole that much. I don't have any buildings near geothermal vents, and I don't have a geothermal generator. Mikhail does, so that would be more of a patent I would expect to be interesting for him. Cold fusion is like water engine, but it's for buildings. Um, and I like that. And actually, if you look right now at the market, the water is significantly cheaper um, than energy. So I think I'm actually going to start working on that patent. And then the others that are available to me right now are in green. So there's Energy Vault with a regenerating power backup. Financial instruments helps you the more your opponents are in debt. Um, So that's kind of predatory and fun. But I'm going to do Cold Fusion right now. And as soon as I click that, it spends the cash slash resources that I have and starts working on acquiring the patent. I'm not sure if it's now or when I actually achieve the patent, but at some point, working on the patent is locked um, to everyone else in the game. So I don't know. I'm not sure how to check in on that. I guess I'd have to look at a manual or a wiki or something, or start a multiplayer game, hot seat or something, and try to figure out what's going on. But it's the patents are exclusive at some point. Okay, and then I click the Patent Lab icon to close the tab so I can see again what the costs of the different buildings are for me. You can see also that the electrolysis reactor has now gone into the green, so I would no longer be operating it at a loss. So I'm actually going to build one right now. And I believe my bonus is higher if it's right next to water pumps. So I got 75% there. I don't have a bonus there. So I'm going to build. So it's 0.26 and 0.52. Yeah, it's better here. I'll actually build it on this side to allow for more expansion to the east-ish. And that means I'm going to also set to auto sell oxygen and fuel. So if I have a surplus, it will auto sell those. Um, so the other thing to consider is I also have the optimization center now, which is just straight up optimizations to production rates. So when you make more of something available, um, it's good for you in that you have more to sell. But as you sell more, you affect the market and bring the price down. So the long-term effect um, is if you can find the profit in volume, then definitely do it. I generally do it more than holding off. But I think there are some times in the market where um, having essentially artificial scarcity helps you. Like look at, for instance, the De Beers diamond cartel in the real world. Um, they have lots and lots of diamonds, but they act like they don't. And in that way, they keep the prices inflated. So it is possible that an optimization center is not in your best interest, depending on how you're manipulating the market. But if you have, for instance, a hacker array, then you can not only increase your efficiency, but also increase demand, which is the most ideal for clearing a huge profit. So there's that too. So I am going to look at what I have. The other thing about optimization centers is that they only work on stuff that you yourself are producing. It doesn't help me right now to optimize aluminum production because I don't have any aluminum mines. But it would help me potentially to optimize, well, right now, of what I'm producing, maybe carbon. But I'm already producing 3.35 per time unit. So that's not really urgent. Um, it actually might make sense for me to optimize fuel and power since I know I use both of those extensively. So why don't I do some of that? Um, Power, and then I have to wait because I don't have any more cash to do the fuel. So my electrolysis reactor just went online, and you can see that I'm now making oxygen and fuel. So if you don't set autocell, um, your your stores will build in this white number here, and then you have to sell it manually. I am not going to go for this bidding war because I can bribe a claim for 4,500, and it's up to 12,000 right now. I could mess with it if I didn't mind the risk and actually pump up the auction value, but I don't really want to accidentally be in debt for 16,000 right now. I want that to be intentional if it happens. I'm also going to take the opportunity to do one more energy. I'm going to look at the patents and nothing else right now is available. I'm going to look at those optimizations. And the other thing is that when you're messing with patents and optimizations, that also automatically pauses the game. I'm going to try to play without pausing too much from now on because I'm 40 minutes into the stream and I would like to finish this game before the stream ends. So upgrade. And I'll only pause if things get super exciting. Um, I'm going to check the patent lab at 10,000. All right, so nanotech and virtual reality are available now. And the reason these cost money is because I don't have a chemical factory. If I had a chemical factory, I could be making chemicals and making these, well, not free, but making them consume the chemicals that I'm making rather than having to buy them from the market. So the reason that nanotechnology costs 8.1K is because chemicals are at 176 a unit right now. So I think actually that argues for me building a chemical plant. So I'm going to do that. Again, it's auto paused while I'm building. So I'll build here. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be a difference. So I'll build here. And I will not set it to auto sell until I'm done using it for patents. I'm going to upgrade. I'm up to level 5 HQ. I can't go any higher. So the stuff, what I would dedicate to upgrading, I should now spend on the colony so I can start pumping up my shares in the colony. But I do have 13 tiles to use, and I should use them. I shouldn't let them go to waste because using them is more efficient. It creates more resources, and it helps everything. So in that regard, that kind of argues for building more. So let me build more electrolysis reactors. I'm going to build in this direction. Um, and I sort of want one of everything. So I'm going to look at that. That's 2.4 at a cost of some fuel. Um, 0.4. Let's do that one. And then I have carbon. Let's see about silicon. That one. We'll do that one. Look at a steel mill. Where am I? That's not me. It's Chochi. All right. Um, maybe another. Yeah, I don't care about the pleasure dome. I should care, but I don't. Um, I'm just gonna let that roll. And now that I'm accumulating chemicals, you can see that I can afford all of the patents. So I'm going to go with slant drilling, so that will have an immediate effect on my profits. Um, Continue. Um, what's going up? Oh, and I should. So those little boopy noises are because I am increasing my output of things. So I'm actually going to set more things to auto sell since I'm actually creating them now. I'm going to still keep my hands off the chemicals for now as I do more patents. So teleportation, I'm going to do that one. That will reduce my fuel load, I believe. And then I will also use optimization center to optimize my chemical plant. So I really want to pump that. Not only for the use in patents, but also in profit generation, since the per unit price is quite high. That was a magnetic storm that somebody played on the various transport ships that were in the air at the time. Probably got a lot of my stuff, but it looks like maybe it got other people as well. And that's the other things that you can do in the black market is the negative stuff, which I generally don't tend to play with. I mean, you can certainly use it to your advantage. I'm not saying you can't, but I don't know. I feel like I would rather focus on increasing my production. I don't know. I'm not doing it to be a goody two shoes. It's just way I play. And I think I will do carbon scrubbing since it directly helps the chemical lab. Um, and heck, let's do financial instruments. It does take a while for patents to get researched, so you sort of have to have the long view, like the number of real-time seconds and how it affects the passage of time in the game, in the hours through the days of the week. Mm. Pleasure Dome, again, I don't care. You might actually, in those cases, especially when the auction is cheap, you could potentially bid for the Pleasure Dome and then sell it or scrap it so that you have the claim. But it seems a little bit finicky for me. That's not necessarily the best option for me. Um, and down here you can see people are upgrading their HQs and so on. Mikhail's got an HQ level 5, so he also is going to have excess money that he's probably going to start spending on colony modules and increasing his stake in the colony. You can also see I have 9. I start out with 9. Joji 5 is acquiring stuff um, and is up to 5. So I should really start working on that, especially since it's mid-game. It's Soul 4 of 7. It's the end of Soul 4. So I really do need to start working on that. So I need to sort of finish up building what I want. The chemical factories are actually operating at a loss. So they're actually shut down, which is another thing to notice and consider. Um, Although, except for iron, it looks like my output is not bad. Um, it's also because the price for chemicals keeps dropping, probably because I'm saturating the market, which won't be helped when I start auto selling. Um, that's okay. I could also consider investing in farms, even though I myself do not need them. It can still be a good value proposition. Um, I'm still the only one researching patents, which suggests that nobody else has a patent lab. I don't really care about virtual reality. It helps if I have a pleasure dome, but I haven't been doing that. I think I will do thinking machines um, and energy vault. What the heck? Then go over to the optimization center and uh, look at fuel and power and water, and then look at actually buying stuff for the colony. So I've got 144K, so I'm just going to start spending willy-nilly. I have to sort of come off of the tile. You can see the pop-up is huge. So if I go over here, I can't see them. Um, and I'm just looking for the lowest price. It doesn't actually matter that much, the balance here between the two. Um, I'm not going to bid on that. It's tempting, but nobody else is. Okay. So I'm just going for whatever costs the least when I click. But you can see my shares are now 16, and the highest of my competitors is 6. So I still have the majority. In fact, I have more than half right now, but that may not last. It looks like we're all a bit rich here in the colony. And you can see things are going up and down in the market as far as prices go. Making machines. So now, because of financial instruments, I'm actually getting money from the fact that the others are in debt, which is awesome, but only really helps me if I'm not in debt. So I have to be careful about what I spend, as in life. Energy vault acquired. All right, so I don't really care about the other patents. I don't need them, and I'm not going to spend any energy on them or time or money. So I'm just going to leave those alone. But I do care about my optimizations. However, it is the beginning of Soul 6, so there's 2 days left in the week of the game. And these do take some time to research. 47 seconds is a significant time in hours in the day of the week. So it is interesting to explore pumping up production, but not critical. And it may not be worth it because I may enjoy it only for a few game hours. So I'm actually going to ignore both, and I'm really just going to convert. I'm going to focus on focus. That's very ironic. I'm going to focus on buying parts of the colony and increasing my stake. I think I've got everything. Underground nuke. That's great. I might actually consider bidding for this just to keep it out of the hands of the others. I think I will. I don't know what undisclosed means, but I don't like it. I'm actually going to go into debt for this. Maybe. Nope, not quite. Okay. Um, I do have two more claim tiles. I wonder what I should do with them. I could maybe just keep making electrolysis reactors. That seems reasonable. So 28K is the lowest cost for anything in the colony. It's weird though that the it's I think it's a habitat module. Is it habitat? Yeah, habitat modules are cheaper than the other like working modules, which is odd because we have a surplus of habitat modules, but they're still cheaper. You can see it, even as I hover over it, it says colony needs workplace modules to grow, not habitat modules. And I got a bunch of money from interest. So now they're actually the same. The habitat module costs the same as the machine shop module. All right, so now you can see in the competitors panel that San Marino does have a patent lab, and the reason I noticed that is because he acquired the other patents that I decided not to, except for virtual reality, so that still goes unclaimed. So I got 25 versus a total of 19 from all the other competitors, which means my outlook is very good. All right, there was just a Mars quake, which tends to push all the resources up. You can see if I had actually spent money on electronics, I would be very happy right now because that is a monster price per unit for electronics. But I am getting 100 and something uh, for each unit of chemicals, so I'm actually quite happy about that. And I'm just going to dump it right into the colony anyway. As I get more profits, I'm just going to keep dumping it back into the colony. And the other participants, the other competitors, are a total of 20 colony modules, and I have 26. So still more than 50%. Currently, there's a solar flare happening, which would boost solar panels if I had any, but I just have wind turbines, so it's not affecting me in either way. It does affect me in that people with solar panels are getting cheaper energy, but you can't get lower than one per unit, and we're very close to that. We were at one when I started talking about it. So it's not too big a deal either way because the price is so low. Look at that, 597 for electronics. Outrageous. And you can see, oop, briefly, one of my competitors did have a bunch of chemistry or electronics factories. So they were making a lot of money off of that, but only for a few seconds. All right, so I won. Yay. Um, rankings. They have what? 21 total. I have 26. Yay, I win. You can see that I made my most money from chemicals and I spent my most money on fuel, which is totally unsurprising. And see, I didn't use any sabotage, whereas it looks like the other players, the AI players, did sabotage Mikhail, which is unfortunate. Anyway, I am not necessarily friendly. It's that I don't care to spend time on that. Um, because I was playing it in easy mode, I got more starting money, which was reflected in my overall performance in the game. Which gives you a big clue on why Elon Musk is so powerful. He was not a self-starter. His family has buttloads of money from emerald mines. Yes. I didn't even bribe any claims. I did nothing with the black market. Look at how friendly I am. Somebody else had oh, look at that. Mikhail was pumping food and fuel. That would explain some things. I had most of the patents. There's the stock market. And yeah, electronics just completely went up and kept going up. Everything else was kind of noisy. All right, so here's the graph, the ring graph of my modules versus everyone else's. You can see I got an additional 220K a week from that, so that'll add on to the 600 I was making before. And just as a preview, and I'll try not to blow away this game between now and the next time I play. So as a preview, these things are available. If I hired staff, I would have 1 million to spend. So that gives me a lot more options with respect to specialists and upgrades and building engineers. So that. Thank you very much for joining me. If you like my stuff, please follow me on Twitch. Please like and subscribe. Like my videos and subscribe to my account on YouTube. Feel free while I'm on Twitter to tweet me and let me know what you think. Let me know if you think I should play other games. Let me know if you like the games I'm already playing and which ones you prefer. You can also comment on the YouTube videos and let me know as well. Any kind of interaction is great. I'm not trying to be demanding, but more interaction means more engagement and interest. I am not monetized. I am not sponsored. I'm just showing you the games that I enjoy playing and showing you how I play them. I hope that you have a lovely week. I know it's just Monday, and there's plenty more week to come. I hope that you're treating your family well and that they're treating you well. I hope that your pets are using you as a pillow to the extent that you enjoy it and leaving you alone otherwise. I hope your pets are not too loud, unlike my cat, who likes to interfere with anything I'm doing when he's hungry or wants attention. Mostly I think it's adorable, even when it isn't, but I don't know how you feel about your pets. Let me know if you want to see something else, other content, maybe a Let's Chat. I'm up for it and interested. I've been enjoying the streaming. I like how articulating what I'm doing sort of helps me understand and enjoy the game more. So I like that anyhow. But I love interaction and likes and comments, and it's cool to know that people are watching, even if it's asynchronous. That's totally fine. Anyway, have a good week. and perhaps you'll join me on Wednesday. Take care. Bye.